Up on First at 4, an employee at an Eastern Kentucky jail tests positive for COVID-19. We'll tell you how the jailer aims to stop it from spreading. And one brewery in Somerset is now reopened after being closed for weeks due to the pandemic.
And the cooler trend continues tomorrow with a few more scattered showers for the mountains. First at 4 is next.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, as parts of the state continue to see a spike in coronavirus cases, an employee at the Letcher County Jail tested positive for the virus. WYMT's Madison Pergram has more on what jail officials are doing to try and prevent more cases.
Here at the Letcher County Jail, one of their part-time employees tested positive for COVID-19 this weekend. That employee was notified someone that he came in contact with tested positive for the virus. So he left the jail and got tested before Saturday. The last time he had worked at the jail was the previous Saturday, June 6th. Bert Sloan, Letcher County jailer, said as soon as they found out he did test positive, they got to work. They disinfected the entire jail and contact traced those who the infected employee came in contact with.
What we've been doing is just trying to follow the guidelines of the CDC. We decontaminated everything in the locations throughout the jail. We started watching the videos and seeing who had contact on that day.
Sloan says that the employee at the time was asymptomatic, and he says that 8 inmates and other employees have since been tested, and as of now, all the results that have came back have been negative. For now in Letcher County, Madison Pergram, WYMT Mountain News.
We will have more on the precautions the Letcher County Jail is taking coming up at 6. A group of Kentucky inmates is suing for release from a prison dealing with a COVID-19 outbreak. More than a dozen people connected to the Kentucky Correctional Institution for Women have tested positive. The ACLU has filed a lawsuit on behalf of 7 women they say are especially vulnerable to the virus. Leaders say they've learned from past outbreaks and hope to limit the spread.
As I said, we've got the testing, we've got masks, we've got sanitizers, we even have some foot protection at KCIW, and so learning from Green River is bringing us a long way to get this one. Hopefully it won't even reach the levels of Green River.
Secretary Brown says they hope to have everyone at the facility tested by the end of the week. Police in Ohio need help finding information about how a Corbin man died. Ryan Zimmerman was reported missing in Columbus in 2015. In January 2016, investigators found remains in a state park. Today, Mercer County, Ohio Sheriff Jeff Gray said they were finally able to identify the bones as belonging to Zimmerman. Evidence showed his body was severed at the head and spine. It also was severed from the knees and elbows down. He reportedly moved to Ohio after meeting some people online.
Saw that mixture of sun and clouds once again today. A lot of us have seen sunshine. Some of us have seen a lot more clouds and just a few stray rain chances throughout the day. We'll take you up to some of those cameras first, though, as we look over into London along Interstate 75. Mostly that mixture of sun and clouds. They've remained on the drier side and seen a lot more sunshine, especially compared to some other areas across the mountains, like Whitesburg. You guys have been a little bit more on that gloomy and chilly side. Check out those temperatures right now, 66 degrees with those cloudy skies, mostly dry right now, but you've possibly seen a few stray rain chances throughout the day. You can see where those clouds have set up, mostly from Pikeville to Harlan, Middlesboro, and Wise. You guys are all in those 60s, while the rest of us are into about the low to mid 70s. So we've been a little bit on the warmer side where we've seen that sunshine. You can see that here along satellite and radar as well. Just a very, very few stray rain chances. Most of those have remained over into parts of Virginia and West Virginia. So heading throughout the rest of the evening hours, we'll continue to see those mostly to partly cloudy skies. Temperatures will cool off for a lot of us as we head into tonight. The cooler trend continues for one more day before the temperatures start to rise once again. I'll have a look at that full 7-day forecast coming up in a little bit.
All right, thank you, Paige. Kentucky Fish and Wildlife officials say this year alone there have already been 31 drownings in Kentucky, a number higher than normal. Now, a handful of factors go into what has caused that higher number. One of the main ones, officials say, is that we are seeing more people at our lakes since more people are staying in this region. There is one thing all the drownings have in common, though. There was not a PFD or life jacket worn. Officials say at many areas like Carr Creek Lake in Knott County, there is no excuse for not having a personal flotation device.
We actually have, if you notice around Carr Creek Lake, we have several locations that there's life jackets that are on the loaner program, so that people, if they come to the water and they forget a life jacket or something like that, they can actually pick one up off the loaner program for the day and they actually return it that afternoon.
Later today, we'll take a look at what a typical day looks like for the department and how you can stay safe on the lake. A brewery in southern Kentucky is excited to reopen after having to temporarily close because of the pandemic. WIMT's Will Puckett has more from Somerset.
Breweries in Kentucky are actually considered food, and so they were able to open back when restaurants did with that capacity limit. For Jarfly Brewing here in Somerset, they wanted to make sure they did it right, so they waited a little bit longer and opened this past Friday. Co-founder and co-owner Daniel Stroud says that they had to get creative in how they would stay afloat the past 3 months. But in doing so, it showed their scrappy approach to almost everything that makes their brand so unique.
When this happened, sure, it was scary. It was scary for everyone. But in those terms, Dell and I talked and we were like, yeah, you know, this is a scrappy business already. So our hatches are battened down. We can survive this.
Jarfly Brewing is back open at that 33% capacity cap. It amounts to about 40 people or so. Stroud says in some odd way, they learned what was most important in this process, and they might be better off for it. In Somerset, Will Puckett, WIMT Mountain News.
Jarfly is open Tuesday through Sunday. Stout is planning to bring back live music with the help of city officials. While many businesses are reopening, festivals and other large gatherings are still being canceled. Just moments ago, organizers posted that the world-famous Chicken Festival in London will not take place this year. It was scheduled to run from September 24th through the 27th. Today, the University of Kentucky released its restart plan for the fall. Classes will start August 17th. That is a week earlier than planned. There will be no Labor Day holiday or fall break, and the semester will end at Thanksgiving break. Final exams will go out after Thanksgiving break. Everyone will have to do a self-assessment before coming to campus. Everyone will be required to wear masks on campus unless alone or eating or drinking. Students will receive a starter kit with PPE and other items. Testing will also be available to everyone. Areas will also have limited capacity. We will have much more on this coming up at 6. September cannot get here quick enough for football fans. Despite no firm answer on whether there will even be a college football season, UK is moving the home opener against Eastern Michigan to September 3rd. Initially, it was set for Saturday the 5th. But the Kentucky Derby is now slated for that day. So as long as sports gets the green light, football moves to Thursday with the Run for the Roses 2 days later. That will certainly seem strange. Now to a story we are working on for 4:30. A call about a kidnapping led to a chase in Lincoln County this morning. The chase started in Berea. Stanford police say the man they were actually after shot at them and they returned fire. Eventually, police tell us they were able to save the victim of the kidnapping. We do not know the name of the man arrested or the charges he is facing yet. Again, more on that coming up in our second half hour. We will be doing a full hour of news today since there is no briefing from Governor Beshear. While Kentucky is reopening during the COVID-19 pandemic, some activities are still not happening, as we've already been talking about. One of the latest is Kentucky State Police's annual Trooper Island Camp. But as Jim Stratman reports, troopers are now bringing the island into your living room.
You know, everything's changed, but just like everything else in life, you got to adapt and overcome, and that's what we've done. I think we're going to give these kids a real opportunity and a truly neat experience.
That means instead of taking canoes out on the lake, kids will be learning how to paddle from their living rooms.
We spent about a week filming different segments that the kids will have the opportunity to not only watch activities being done, but also innovative ways for them to practice that at home.
Trooper Jonathan Biven has been involved with Trooper Island for 6 years. He says this is the 55th edition of the summer camp.
If you would have told me 6 months ago that, hey, you need to prepare for a virtual camp, I'd have been like, what are you talking about? You know, there was no book on how to do this. We literally wrote the book.
Trooper Biven says where the full camp experience may not be possible, virtual camp will allow more kids to get involved.
But virtual camp's not going away. You know, we will have this every year. But being able to do this, it's open to everybody. You know, we're not limited to just 10 to 12-year-olds. You know, I learned how to properly build a fire and actually how to cook over an open fire during virtual camp. So those are things that, as a 40-year-old adult, that I can now turn around and share with my children.
Reporting in Lexington, Jim Stratman, WKYT.
If you would like to sign up for this virtual summer camp, there's more information on the Kentucky State Police Facebook page. It is open to all kids, no matter how young or how old. We are just 1 week away from the June primary election in Kentucky, and Democratic Senate candidate Charles Booker's campaign is picking up steam. He won a key endorsement from former Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes. Booker is facing off against Amy McGrath and several others. The winner will likely take on Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell in November, although McConnell has opposition in the primary too. Another Democrat running for U.S. Senate is also touting some endorsements. Mike Breuer recently announced famed author Wendell Berry is backing him, along with former presidential candidate Andrew Yang and others. Breuer is a farmer, school teacher, retired Marine lieutenant colonel, and a former newspaper editor from Lincoln County. Homeland Security and Customs and Borders officials say they have seen a dramatic increase in drug seizures at the United States-Canada border. Border officials say that there have been more than 225 narcotic seizures, bringing in nearly 5 pounds of drugs. That number includes a massive bust where officials seized nearly 1,800 pounds of marijuana from a shipment disguised as coffee makers. Let's head over to Wall Street now on this Tuesday afternoon. The Dow closes up today, more than 526 points. So a good day on Wall Street. Still to come on First at 4, are we seeing a change to people's daily workouts? See how people are shifting from gyms to at-home routines.
And the cooler trend continues tomorrow, but we'll see that heat and humidity return by the end of the week. I'll have a look at that 7-day forecast coming up.